Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen. Hola artistas del Cabo, bienvenidos al corazón de un viqueño. Today is the last day of our South American tour, and today we're heading to Santiago, Chile. And while we're there, we're going to be learning about the street artists and the graffiti scene that Santiago features. The colors are amazing, the artwork is beautiful and super realistic, but there's one thing you should remember: graffiti art is illegal unless you've been hired to paint on someone's wall. So make sure that you don't go and think that, hey, graffiti art sounds like a good idea. Instead, let's learn some of the techniques. Let's learn how we can create some of the artwork and some legal places where you can create your artwork. So we're going to be learning about how to make our name using graffiti letters. And we're going to start by drawing on paper, and we'll practice a piece of two-dimensional artwork that's on paper. And then if you want to take your graffiti art outside, you can bring some sidewalk chalk to create your graffiti art. Let's take a peek at the graffiti art I made here in my driveway. Santiago is frequently cited as one of the best cities in the world to see street art on display. In neighborhoods, there is an abundance of murals because shop owners have hired muralists to paint on these buildings to make them more attractive. The Chilean government actually initiated an open-air museum in 2010. The purpose was to make older, deteriorating buildings in more impoverished sectors of Santiago more aesthetically pleasing. The project, carried out only with the approval of each building's residents, began with the idea of creating 10 murals, finally resulting in 40 massive murals covering various blocks in the area. So I think it's important for us to clarify the difference between street art and graffiti. While I was researching for this project, I found myself slipping into a wormhole of fascinating information about graffiti and street art. This lesson steers us towards the colorful Calle de Santiago, where street art is common and appreciated. Let's define the difference between street art and graffiti. The biggest difference between graffiti and street art isn't the style, but it's the fact that graffiti is illegal, while street art is sanctioned. Street art is the evolution of graffiti. Artists are going to create if they're going to feel the desire to create. So graffiti started and it has led into something called street art. So today we're going to learn about tagging and throw-up styles of street art. Let's start with tagging. Well, Cape artists, here we are. We're about to make some graffiti art. So you need some scrap paper. I chose some scrap paper that has lines on it, but you don't have to. I also have an eraser, a pencil, and a couple of markers. You really just need a black and maybe a color or two. Alright, so as you're preparing to make this project, you'll need to decide which name you'd like to use. Maybe your first name, or I'm actually going to use my last name. My first name has 8 letters, and I felt like that was just too much, so I'm going to use my last name. So take a minute and think, which name are you going to use for your piece of artwork? Alright, so to get started, we're going to just simply write our name. Take up a lot of space on your paper, don't write too small. This will give us a chance to really see the letters and figure out some ways that we can either combine them or put them close together. So I'm alternating a little bit between capital and lowercase. I kind of like when the I is lowercase in my name, but everything else is capital. Now I'm going to start writing my name a second time. This time I'm going to see if there are any ways that I can either combine the letters or put them really close together, maybe let them share a line. So as my M goes into my I right here, I'm also going to use the I as the first leg of the N. Then I'm going to let my T have a diagonal top to it, and I'm going to let the O hang on to that top line of the T. So now I'm going to add some embellishments. That might be some thicker lines, it might be some dots, or maybe some lines, it might be an arrow, anything that I think might increase the creativity or the recognizability of the word whenever it is tagged somewhere. But be careful because you want to be able to repeat what you do many times. Okay, so now with tagging, you're allowed to use only one color. So now that I've practiced and I was able to erase if I needed to, I'm going to switch to a color. So I'm choosing my green marker here, and I'm going to try to repeat the exact same style that I did above in pencil. So that's the goal here for tagging, is to be able to repeat and create this many times, almost the exact same way. So I'm going to practice a couple times here too. This style of graffiti is called a throw up. So I'm allowed to use two colors, and I have the bubbly letters, but the bubbly letters are still legible. That means readable. People can still read what it says. Alrighty, so we're going to start by writing the first letter of your name as a capital letter, and write kind of big on your paper. It's better to practice this large, and you can always write smaller the second time you make it. Now after I've made my letter, I'm going to make ovals around each of the parts of the letter. So you can see how I'm making overlapping ovals just like that. Looks like a bunch of hot dogs. Looks kind of messy too. And I'm going to make those ovals on each part of the letter as I go along here. And again, it's going to look kind of messy, but I promise, stick with me and it's going to look super fantastic. Alright, now switch to your black marker, and I want you to just outline the very furthest out edge of each of those ovals. See how I'm just tracing the outside edge? I'm not actually drawing the ovals, just the outside edge. It's almost like you are tracing or outlining. Then when you're finished, switch to your eraser and erase the pencil lines. Okay. So we're going to repeat those exact same steps, except we're going to squish the letters closer together. So instead of leaving some room between my I and my N and my T and my O, I'm going to make them really close together so that when I make those ovals around them, the ovals will actually start bumping into each other. Alrighty, so as you trace, you are going to let the letters bump into each other. So like when I did my I only had to trace the right edge of my I because it was already touching the M. And the whole way across. Grab your eraser and erase again. And now this time we're going to add the proper amount of colors. So with this kind of graffiti, we're allowed to have two colors. So the black counts as a color, and now I'm going to color mine in green. Now I'm going to use my black marker once more to increase the amount of black outline around the edges. You can do as much black as you want. I'm going to be making it kind of like a shadow, almost like they're 3D and casting a shadow, and I'm going all the way around all the different sides, and I'm going to fill in any negative spaces in the letters, like inside of the O. Now I'm just going to add some fun little details, little drawings around the edge and around the sides of my throw up graffiti. After you finish practicing, if you still feel inspired, why don't you go ahead and grab a full blank sheet of paper and make your own graffiti brick wall. So I drew my name first on this one. I used orange and black as my two colors, a little bit of pink as a highlight, and then I added the brick wall in the background to make it appear as though it's actually painted on a brick wall. Alright, so now that you've drawn, practiced, and mastered your graffiti art styles, If you have some sidewalk chalk, let's take this outside. I'd love for you to create the exact same ideas and drawings that you were just working on, but now outside in your sidewalk chalk. And if you stay tuned to the videos, you'll see I had a couple of guest artists in my driveway making their graffiti art too. So here I'm starting to use the purple chalk because it's going to be my second color. Remember, for this style, the throw up style, I can use two colors. So I'm using the purple as my shadowy background color, and I'm also using it to separate the letters because with the sidewalk chalk, it all kind of starts to blend together since I have all my letters touching. So I'm using the purple along with the green to help separate the letters a little bit. We also have a guest artist. This is Mr. Minto outside making his name using the throw up style as well. And once he was finished, we had a third artist show up. Maggie is here to show us her making her throw-up style graffiti art. Well, now that we're all done, I hope that you've learned a little bit about the street art of Santiago, Chile, and hopefully the difference between graffiti and street art. Graffiti being something that is quick and probably illegal, and street art being something that is sanctioned, which means paid for or hired to do a project for somebody, just happens to be on the side of their building. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Get outside, make some street art, and don't forget to take a picture so you can post it on your Artsonia site. Hope to see you soon back here at El Corazón de un Viqueño. HOB artists, don't forget to hop on over to Artsonia to upload a photograph of your piece of artwork to your art portfolio. I can't wait to see it.